You gotta want to be boss. About your and again, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. Yeah, another great day, another day above ground. And I'm thankful for that, man. Anything else that comes along with that, it's a bonus. Yeah, it's a bonus. But it's what you do with the day as well. You know, a lot of people wake up and they say, you know, how thankful they are for, for this day. But the day is often wasted. It's often wasted, right? 9 to 5 every day. You got the kids, bring them home, do the homework, whatever the family piece is, and that's it. The weekend comes, house chores, going to the market, those kind of things happen. If you're a religious person, Friday's Jama'ah, Saturday you're at the synagogue, Sunday you're in church. Some of y'all in church all day long, right? And that's the extent of your life. There's nothing else. Nothing. And that's why it becomes so tiresome and so unfulfilling. So it's one thing to say that I'm grateful for another day above ground, but what am I doing with that day? Right? Those are responsibilities. I get it. We all have them. But what do you do for you? What do you do to fulfill your spirit? And people say, oh, well, my kids, I love them. You're missing the point. Hence the reason why you continue to do just what you do, because you've convinced yourself that that's it. That's it. You have no go-to source. Well, you have God, but you have no go-to source for creativity. And brother Bilal, yeah, I've seen your artwork, brother. We on the same page with the art, man. I've seen your artwork, great work, man. And that's one of those things, man, that takes you. It's like Calgon; it just takes you away, right? It takes you to a place of peace and serenity. You can refocus. You can just kind of, woosah. When you got that brush in your hand, when you got that pen in your hand, when when you're creating. Your creativity is so significant because it also exposes other opportunities of creativity when you're interacting in other areas of your life. You get out of that box. You get out of that box. And a lot of people are stuck in that box, man, where they don't come out of it. They don't come out of it. You know, for those of you who know me, I've always been involved in something. And I may be involved in multiple things at one time. I start things. I see something that I'm interested in. I latch on to it, right? I begin to study it, I practice it, and then I begin to put it to use. I have some things that have sat for years, while I'm working on other projects. But what happens is when I get tired of doing music, I can fall back and I can do art. I can paint. I do pen and ink. I can do that. I can do digital graphics. Um, I do film. Write. You know, I'm a writer. I write books. I can write songs. And the list goes on and on and on and on of things that I do, things that I'm involved in to keep those creative juices flowing. It helps every aspect of the being, of your being. You know, a lot of times, you know, people lose their significant others. They lose people who are very close to them, and they rely solely upon that person for total fulfillment. And then when that person is gone, they follow behind not long after because their functionality was based on the partnership. It was based on the partnership. And we do that even actively in relationships where it becomes redundant. We do the same thing every day. There's no deviating from that. And it's expected that you follow that course. And if you go outside of that course, sometimes it frustrates people. Sometimes it leads people to go into what I call the terror dome and begin to create things in their mind that don't exist about the other person. But the other person has sought to delve into their creativity and they want to stay with their creativity. And that's their go to source, you know, when things are great and not so great. And when you don't have that yourself, you're always looking towards that other person. And we get sucked dry. For those of us who are creative, we get sucked dry by our partners sometimes because they have no idea what else to do. If they're not doing anything, they're looking to you. Well, when you going to get done doing that? I want you to come sit with me and look at TV. There's nothing creative in that for me. There's nothing creative in that for me. Yes, we set up those times where we watch a movie together. Absolutely, we should have those times. But my time can't always be devoted to sitting next to you or laying in the bed and always watching TV, watching the same shows over and over again. I can't do that. It drives me nuts. You got to mix it up. You got to mix it up. Some days I'll watch PBS, right? And I'll watch some educational. I'll look at the History Channel, right? You have to mix up what it is that you're doing because if you just watch the same thing over and over again, it's like you're robotic in nature. And you're not. We're not created as such, right? There's so much in us. It's like having these cell phones, these smartphones. Yeah, these smartphones are smarter than us because they're always developing. They're always upgrading. There's always something changing in them, and there's so many aspects of their phone that we will never use. And some of y'all spend a lot of money on phones. I ain't going over $200. I'm not. That just won't happen. I'll get the iPhone 2 if I have to, because it just if it does the same thing for me, why do I need an iPhone 50,000? And that's how much they're going to cost when they finally come out. I don't need those kind of things, right? So, but that has taken the place. That has taken the place of another human being. If you look at that, that has taken the place of. So now we have people who are so detached by the so-called social media, which it should be called anti-social media, but now people are connected to that. There's no creativity in that. I look at TikTok and I see the attempts at being creative, and the attempts that I see at being creative are usually demeaning of oneself. I see, you know, females on there dancing and they're shaking this and shaking that, and the kids in the background or other people in the background observing them, looking at them, and I'm like, okay, so what's this? And they're looking for likes. They're looking for little hearts and flowers, and they even got gifts, and then they got the snap. What is it called? The at the chat, the exchange of like, why? What is that about? I didn't change my shirt, y'all. I came in. Y'all, why didn't y'all tell me I got a T-shirt on and switch up? Um, but it's things like that that people, people are reaching out. People are crying out in so many ways, man, for help, for real, true companionship. But at what costs? See, at what cost? At what benefit? What are you really getting out of that? And dudes ain't no better. They're just as bad. It's just it's a whole nother side of them you're seeing, and with the conflicts and the confrontations and the beefs and the elementary level swag, things of that nature. And it's just about how many people going to follow me, how many people going to like what I'm doing, how many people can I connect with. You know, that's what it comes down to. So I never let my mind rest because something has to replace the traumatic things that have happened in my life. And that's another significance to creativity, right? Because if you put nothing into the mind other than things that have triggered and re-triggered you and put you in a space that you really don't want to be in mentally and spiritually, right? Then you have to take things and fill those spaces, man, and just kind of, because the body's going to protect itself naturally. But the more you delve into the creative juices of self, right, the trauma is lessened. It's going to always be there. But the idea is to decrease the recurring episodes of the traumatic events, right? When they show up, when you get triggered, the impact gets lessened because you have other go-to sources to keep yourself focused and you're able to refocus and bring yourself back away from that rubber banded experience. And that's what it's called when you go back and forth to different events is that have happened in your life, traumatic events. And you do that with good events too. You listen to music and you go to a place you used to be. It wasn't all bad. I listened to Heat Wave and it reminds me of the 70s, the early 70s, right? And it wasn't all bad, so it's you go and you come and you go and sometimes when it comes, you sit there a little too long. And when you sit there a little too long, it becomes intensified. Your emotions begin to well up within you. And that's the time when you pick up the paintbrush. That's the time when you pick up the knitting needles. That's the time when you put on the headphones and you go into your studio and start mixing some music and things of that nature. That's when those things are necessary. You know, um, we just started an LLC, a lien for you, which is similar to what you're seeing online in terms of the cups, the mugs, the t-shirts, and things of that nature. But my work, if you haven't already seen the posts online, My work is not anything like you're ever going to purchase. It's not like anything you're ever going to purchase. There's labor put into these designs. It's not just me, us, me and the lady slapping things on uh, to cups and stuff like that. It's work put into it. There's stages of development of these things. She creates, things and shoots it over to me. I put the stuff into the uh, Adobe Photoshop and I add my artistic, flares to it and enhancements to it, and then puts it into production. Um, and that's what we're working on right now. Uh, I've been focusing on the artistic aspects of it, the design aspects of it, while she's learning all the equipment. Right? See, this is another aspect of creativity between husband and wife, right? Between you and your significant other. You may have a roommate, and whatever the case is. But part of the foundation of it is making sure y'all are doing things together. Y'all involved in doing things together. She likes like reading all this stuff and learning all this stuff, right? That's an aspect I don't have to delve into. I'll eventually get into it, but right now my focus is different. But she's able to create, right? She's able to, learn the aspects of the business. And, I have experience with the setup of websites and things of that nature. So that's another aspect that I do. And, looking at the business aspect of pricing items and things, of that nature. So we work well together, but we're both involved in it. Therefore, it's a matter of uh, we have a go-to source together. And when I don't want to be in the lab doing stuff, she's still in here doing stuff. So now she has something to do. So sometimes you have to allow people to introduce you to other things, and you have to be open and open-minded to learn things because we all have skills and we all have different things that we're very learned in, right? So it's important that in a relationship that you try to engage one another in what it is that you enjoy doing. Sometimes people have never done the things I want to do, but then when they pick up the brush and they start doing things like what was that? What's that art with the twist? That's another big thing that blew up real quick when people they get together, they get their whatever their flavor is, and they sit at the spot and they all paint and socialize together, and everybody gets to show their work. It's a night out. It's a night out for couples, and of course, I can get a little fancy because I'm already an artist. So when I go, I get into it. It's automatic. I'm not going to dumb down because everybody else is not artistically developed like I am. It's fun. It's fun. So I still did my thing. But just the fact that we went together, we did it together. She enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's things like that's important. And even if you find yourself just going once a week or once every couple of weeks, because it costs a little bit, I get that. But you can do that at home too. You can do that at home. With all these craft stores that are around, you can do that at home, right? Even with my music, I got the wife on tracks. I got her on tracks, put her on some tracks, on the albums and whatever music I'm doing. If I feel something that's in there that I can, hey, why don't you, I try to include everybody in it, man, because it's not just about me. And sometimes that's the spark. That's that jarring experience somebody has. That wonderful experience somebody has to, you know, elevate them to the position of more momentum toward their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. You have to do that. But always in the center of that is you. It's not being selfish. You have to take care of you first because if you fall apart, who's going to take care of you? And yeah, you have a significant other, and you say, well, that's their job. Yeah, but their job is to help. Their job is not to live your life for you. If you sitting there with every intent on not doing anything, there's nothing I can do to change that. So eventually you lose that other person because they decided they want to be creative. They want to do things. They don't want to just sit like a bump on a log and just watch you, come and go. And, it's sitting on the side of the bed, watching the tide roll and watching the ships go out and come back again. I mean, that's a hell of a song to just sit on the dock of the bay and just watching the tide, you know, roll back and out and tide go up and low tide, high tide, and ships going back in. But it's a relief there because of the water. Because I love water, I like to do that too. But just think if that's your life, not sitting on the dock of the bay, but sitting on the side of the bed, sitting on the sofa, and that's all you see. They come in, they come from work, hang up their clothes in the same place, put the boots and shoes in the same place, go upstairs, put on the flannels, come back downstairs, grab the newspaper, grab the ottoman, grab the beer, the bottle, whatever, grab the remote, and that's it. That's it. 365, 24/7. What a life. What a life. Right? So, I keep myself involved in something. So I pulled my artwork back up to the forefront. My artwork has been on the back burner for a few years now because I have delved into other projects. Daddy's Right Here, the nonprofit. I started that back in 2006. I started doing events, with that for, partaking in different, activities and functions and related to Daddy's Right Here. Then I did started the book. Then I put the book on the back burner and I worked on the film. Then I worked on another film, and then I went back to something else. And then, 2021, November 21, I started the music. Wrote the first few songs and put them out, and put an album out right behind that, and then right behind that dropped more singles, and right behind that dropped another album. So now the album's been out for a few months now. So now I'm working on the LLC, right? Working on the LLC. So all of those things are always keeping me, thinking, creating other ways to. But listen, you make money off of it too. So I got this artwork, and I see this is the new wave with these the apparel and all that stuff has always been there, but the new wave of the tumblers and the mugs and everything like that. So you mean I can show my stuff and make money off of it? It sounds great to me. So I take all my stuff and I just some things I just use my camera because again it's about investments as well. So I have a Nikon D. What is this? D3000. I have a D3000. Photograph things, right? I mean that's how I set up my first artwork, my first pieces of art because I have other pieces. I'm ready to go up to Philly next week. I'm going to get my stuff out of storage, but I use the camera, right, to photograph my drawings. I have the lighting, umbrellas, and all that stuff, and I photograph them and turn them into digital prints, right? So I take those digital prints. Now those digital prints, become marketable beyond just being a poster. Now they can go on tumblers, they can go on mugs, they can go, anywhere I want to put them. They can go on tote bags. So that's how I create digital prints from of my artwork, my drawings with the camera, right? Have video cameras. It's a matter of investing in different little things that can serve multi purposes, right? So what we have a engraver, a laser engraver, We have the heat press. We have a DTF printer. We have a sublimation printer. We have another printer that we can do stickers on. We have all the attachments for the sublimation, different size mugs, cups, shot glasses, everything. We've got a inventory of stuff. I even I get sneakers. I got Pumas on sale, right? I got them on sale because I'm going to be doing hand painted designs on these sneakers. Because for those of you who know, already had started that years ago before it became popularized. I was hand painting fashions back in the '80s. You know, jackets and all those kind of things like that. I have clothing up north that have my artwork on the back of them. You know, with acrylic paints. So I've got Pumas up there. I bought a pair of crop type shoes off of I think it was Etsy. So I'm going to take those and put the foundation on those and paint designs on those things like that. And they're sitting up on the shelf. I haven't even gotten to those yet. But those are things that I can do when you know what, I don't feel like doing this today. Let me pull out my acrylic paints and go ahead and take the acrylic paints and just start, painting on the product and put it up on the site and go ahead and buy it. Then get ready to do a pop up. With some of the flea markets here in Florida and and different events that happen. They have a lot of art functions that happen here in Florida because it's sunny all the time. In between, we get that little storms, but that's why I came here. And then I'll be firing back up the cylinders. Daddy's right here, the nonprofit. Yeah, see those kind of things, man. Just like it's like when when there's nobody there, when it's just you, how you gonna live? How you gonna live, man? Because that's what it just comes down to. How you gonna live? If you've got to be in the house, and it's just one of them kind of days that the home life is in the funk, right? Right? How do you change the funk? Because it only takes one of you to change the funk in the house, right? So you just let me go do this for a while, and you get away from all of that, man. You refocus because if you really want to stay, you're gonna find some way to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no sense of sitting there balled up in the knot, right? Go ahead and do something, man, and kind of free yourself. But I do it all the time. I don't wait until those moments, right? Because the idea is to prevent those moments. See, if we do preventive maintenance on ourselves throughout the course of the day, throughout the course of the week, there's less that there's going to be an incident. Yeah. Because you don't have room for it. You don't have time for it. You don't. And when it comes, it becomes so minimal. I don't care how intense the other person is, right? That's in your home or out of your home. I don't care how intense the other a person is, the other situation is. When you're grounded inside, when you got your house in order, nothing. It don't matter. You deal with whatever you're going to deal with, whatever needs to be dealt with. If it has to be that way, then it has to be that way. But it doesn't always have to be that way. It doesn't always have to be that way. A lot of times, because of our own, poor conditioning, it comes out that way. I'm not going to be unhappy. I'm going to be happy before you, during you, and after you. But I have to maintain that. You're not responsible for maintaining my internal happiness. That's my responsibility. I have no control over when you are or are not happy. I can't make you happy. I should only enhance your joy. And all too often, we're in relationships where the expectation is that the other person is, going to always be giving us their joy. A lot of us, who are on this level of energy and spiritually grounded, get sucked dry, and y'all know it. We get sucked dry. We get abused and used and misused because the other person just they don't have any juice, and they're not trying to find any juice. You the only one in the crib with the juice. So been down that road before, and got the T-shirt. I'm not going down that road again, where I lose myself, and that's why so many of us lose ourselves, because we get so much into the relationship that we lose sight of ourselves, and then everything just falls apart when we don't take care of ourselves first. Yeah, we each other's ace boon coons, lovers, friends, road dogs, whatever. We all of those things to one another. But at the end of the day, I'm no good to you if I'm not taking care of me. I'm no good. So this article, Psychology Today, y'all know me, uh, develop a creativity habit and get more out of life. A habit of creativity may boost your well-being and confidence. This article was written by Robert Evans Wilson Jr. The article was written December 10th, 2023. So let's check out the article. Most people are more creative than they realize. The problem is they believe creativity is a gift only a few people are born with. Creativity is actually a skill that anyone can develop at any age. A great way to gain that skill is to develop a creativity habit. With this habit, you'll enjoy many benefits, including better mental and physical health. You may also reap financial rewards from it as well. But the main benefit is that creativity makes you feel good. It's fun and relaxing. And when you get engrossed in it, time just disappears. Right? Brother Bilal, I know when you got that brush in hand, man, you on that canvas, it's like it's a whole different world, man. It's just, you just painting and painting along, you recreate it. It's like it's coming to life in front of you, and you start seeing this over here and that over here. You start adding the shadows in, and you give it depth and all those things, man. It's like before you know it, it's like it was 8 o'clock at night when you started, and now it's well past midnight, and there's like no fatigue, and you're just going and going. It's like you're just in a whole different vibe. You're in a whole different vibe. Just before the show, I was up 5 o'clock this morning, and I try to keep that momentum going because I had to change my schedule. My work schedule is different. But I got down and I started doing this, and I was just starting to load some stuff up into the platform to start getting this merchandise on the market. And I got caught up. I had to slow down. I said, "Well, let me go back and get the show set up," because I'd have been gone. And before you know it, man, I'll leave this and go back to loading that. Before you know it, it'll be dark outside. Right? It'll be dark outside. How y'all like that mug, man? Huh? That's that a lean mug. Yeah, you like that? Look at that. 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 I mean, get yourself one when they hit the market. You got to get yourself one, right? Yeah. Artistic imaginations manifested. Yeah. You got to check out the product and check out the merchandise, right? So I had to order one just to see what it looks like, what their product is like when it comes out. But you'll find it on all kind of apparel. Just make sure you check it out when it comes. Um, it talked about it in just this small portion here about a great way to gain that skill. Is to develop a creativity habit. All these things that I do, I didn't know how to do them. I didn't know how to do them. When I did my first animation, I didn't know how to do animation. I liked it. I wanted to do animation, and I just started. But it's so much more to it that I haven't gotten into. I mean, it creates a whole, you can create a whole film right in there. And I haven't done that. I've utilized the character, made a character, and integrated the character into my videos. I've done that, but it's so much more to that. But I had no idea about it, man. I just started sitting there playing with it, learned how to do things on my own, and so much more for me to learn. But now that I have that knowledge, when I go back to it, right, I can start experimenting with other things in it because I'm already experienced with developing the character. Once you get the character together, and I even did a scene. If you saw the video for The Devil's Way, do a thing with Eve and Adam and Eve, and Adam has walked into the center of the garden, and he takes a rest, and he wakes up, he sits up, and Eve enters the picture. Yeah, yeah. And that was the first time I actually did a scene out of the software. I created the scene. So if you get a chance to it, go to my Severely Educational Station on YouTube and look up the Devil's Way. It was a poem. I did a poem with it, and I had the character in front of a piece of work or artwork. So I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do film and video editing. I knew nothing about that. I knew absolutely nothing. I sat down and I learned that, and I learned it, and I began to master it. And that's what you do. You have to just develop the habit, right? I didn't know anything about. Well, I've been around music. I did stage studio work, for a minute. Um, my friend Jamaluddin Takuma used to uh, be in the basement doing pieces, in his studio, and I would sit there and he was showing me, how to use the joints on the studio deck, and that's where I learned that, watching him mixing the music and all those things like that. I learned that from him, playing the bass and putting the stuff down, did all music tracks, and so I learned that from watching him. He showed me how to do those things, right? And I was listening, so okay, and I kept that in my mind, right? And that was back in the 1980, 81, somewhere in there. Uh, but I have experience with, sound to soundboard. I already had experience with that because I was doing that back in the 80s as well. But I never like sat down and in any software and actually created tracks. So I learned that free software, all this Audacity, free online, just AUDACITY, and I bought Beats. And at some point during COVID, Beats were like they were dropping Beats, man, for like next to nothing. And I must have bought like maybe 100,000 different beats, one shots, and things like that. I started learning how to put them in to Audacity and make tracks and learn how to make beats myself. And then now I have um, what do I have? What is the name of this thing? Ableton. I have Ableton Live. I bought a keyboard and I didn't know that the Ableton Live came with it. And so I bought the keyboard. So I'm gonna go ahead and take me some piano classes. And again, something else I wanted to jump into. I always wanted to learn how to play piano, right? Before I even got there, I discovered I have the software. So this is everything that I need in that studio. So it's a whole studio within itself for me to create beats any way I want to. So I create my own beats. Sometimes I may pull and interlace some of the other stuff that I got, but everything is right there. Everything is right there. So I create my own beats. I hear it in my head. I bring it to life on my own. Right. Always been poetic in my writing and things like that. Now, so I've written probably about 30 songs. Yeah. Since November 2021. So it's not even age. right? People say, well, you can't do this. Well, I'm 63. I'll be 64 this year. I just continue to entertain myself, right? To learn more things. Always learning, always building, always, in that mindset, man, of putting things together. And it's fun. It's like you have so much fun. And like every time you go back to it because it's so familiar, you try other stuff. But now I can sit down and I can just go through all these different things. Now the LLC with these products here, with this equipment here, right? There's something else to learn. There's something else to learn. Um, Back to the article. As a speaker, I like to add humor to my presentations, which means I create jokes that are relevant to the audience. This is part of the effort I make when I write a speech for a particular organization. However, in order to be prepared for when I'm hired, I make it a point to find comedy in everyday situations, wherever I go, out to eat, shopping, or the gas station. I'll make a joke that's germane to that place and time, even if there's only one person to entertain. It's even more fun when I encounter someone else who likes to be funny too, and they respond with a crack of their own. Then it's improv at the grocery checkout line. I enjoy making people laugh so much that it's become a creative habit. That's who I am, right? I entertain myself all the time. I'm always preparing myself for, you know, um, engaging others. You have to be engaged. It's not that you don't just talk with people, talk at people. You have to be engaging, right? When we're having a conversation, I like to engage people. We express our cordials and, we show the empathy and the sincerity in that interaction. Like that's important. That you make eye contact, that you just not, yo, what's up, man? Hey, how you been? Yeah, okay, cool. Cool, good to see you, man. That kind of, I like, yo, don't, well, why would you even talk to me? I'd rather you just kept on walking and say, hey, what's going on, man, to keep on walking. Other than we're engaging one another and you're looking all over the other place. That's not engaging, right? So like typically, hey, what's happening, man? I connect with the person, make eye contact with the person, acknowledge what the person is saying, not talk over them, talk past them, and be disregarding of what it is that they're saying, but engaging the person. So humor is something I always use, man. Sometimes people miss it. Yeah, oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, well, did you just call me stupid? Nah, I didn't. I didn't say that. Yeah, but you just told me that if I'd have read this, but I didn't call you stupid. I would never do that. So it's like you always have to use humor. People don't laugh enough. People are so like morbidly serious, and they're that way because they're failing to be creative in their lives and failing to be creative in their lives. And it's important, that you keep things going, man, and and that's one of the things that's a problem in our world today that people don't laugh anymore. I mean, really laugh, not one of those ha ha ha. No, it's like you really don't find it funny because you're so serious about life, but you're not serious about your life. Because if you were serious about your life, you will lighten up. You will lighten up. A lot of people don't know how to lighten up. They only lighten up around certain people, and usually those people are people who are doing what it is that they do. Little puff puff pass and pour some out for the fellows kind of mindset, and you happy. But when you're around everybody else, you're just miserable. Back to the article. Developing a creativity habit teaches you to look at things in different ways, which is a key component in creative thinking, right? In other words, when you get a different perspective, you are more likely to see creative opportunities. And I was just saying that early on in the show, being creative and doing these kind of things like that also affords you to be in alignment with other opportunities that may present. that may take what it is that you're doing creatively to a different level, an unattended level. Maybe, like I do music, like I'm not looking for a contract. But who's to say somebody won't give me a holler and say, yo, I like this beat. I like the lyrics to that. I like the whole song, right? Let's do something. If that comes out of it, great. If not, I'm still happy. I'm happy doing it, right? You never know what's going to happen with all this, man. You never know that, yo, I can make a lot of money if I just create digital images of some of the things that I'm doing. Like nobody would ever know that I do this. But let me use my $1,500 phone, right? That has 99,000 pixels when I take pictures and put this online and see what feedback I get. Bam, what can I like? But you never put it out there. So being creative also means taking risks. It also means taking risks. Everybody's not going to like it. Just reality. Nobody has 100% favoritism from the world. It don't work that way, right? Creativity. Back to the article, can improve health and happiness. Research shows that creativity improves happiness and well-being. Here's how the science of developing a creativity habit will make you feel good. Novel experience triggers the brain's reward system, which produces dopamine, a neurotransmitter and hormone that elevates mood, motivation, and focus. You'll notice the pure joy of creating something. In my experience, there is nothing more gratifying or exhilarating than being enmeshed in a creative process. If you ain't never been there, you got to find your way to get there. It's a whole different space, man. It's a whole different space. When I do pen and ink, the work is so detailed that I draw every hair on the image that needs to be hair. I use like dots, just dots, and for a whole background. Just imagine. And so most of my artwork takes me months to do. But just imagine something on an 18 by 22 board, and you're just very small dots, cross hatching, you know, very detailed lines, and how much time? 1 hour of doing that for me equates to about 8 hours of rest, in the mind. It rests the mind. It slows down the activity of the constant thinking. The dopamine, like you're talking here, is elevated. The juices are flowing, right? It feels good doing it. Like that chocolate ice cream that you love so much, right? Or whatever else it is that you love so much that you're doing, it makes you feel real good. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's what it does for you. See, and when you don't have that, when you come home from work and just put your feet up and grab the remote and sit in front of the TV night after night after night after night, there's no dopamine, no neurotransmitters firing off, none of that. You're just slowly deteriorating. You're slowly deteriorating mentally. It trickles down to your spirit. And before you know it, physically, you're being depleted. It's just like a carcass. That's all. That's what you ultimately become, man. Excuse me. Other studies demonstrate that engaging in creativity improves mental health. Creativity can reduce anxiety, depression, and stress. It also helps some people process trauma. And I talked about that early on, right? I talked about that early on, remember? When you are in the creative process, all else recedes. Your stress and problems are gone for the time being. You simply cannot be worried and create at the same time. And I talked about that early on in the show, right? It, You can't worry and create at the same time. You got some stuff going on? Stop. Go grab the knitting needles and sit there and right. And as you're doing it, you focus on it. You already know what you're making. You're making the shoes. You see the little knit shoes come into life. You see it. You see the colors blending. The needle is just going in and out and over and under, and you just flowing with it. You just flowing with it, and before you know it, that thought of that argument that you had a few minutes ago is no longer, relevant. It's still in your mind. You know it happened, but you're just not focusing on it, and you're just rolling it. You just and you're just sitting there and you're just doing it. You're doing it. And you're doing something else. You're focusing on something else. It's like it's a stop and think technique that we teach folks in treatment. Right? Stop. Do something else. Right? Think about something else. Think of other ways to resolve this issue. And so before you know it, the issue is not that tense. And then you sit it down. You sit the needles down for a minute. You're like, I can't believe that I allowed myself to get that angry about this thing. It wasn't him. It was me. See the resolve? Right? But if you don't stop and allow yourself the privilege of resting and regrouping and falling back from the thing, then coming back to it, and you know, but when you just like walk away and go sit in the room and grab the remote and look at TV, you don't even see the TV. You really don't. It's on, but you're still focused on what just took place because truth, the TV really has no relevance. It has no relevance. It's just you just try to use it as a distraction. And most of the times it won't distract you. Most of the time, listen, social media is designed to keep you thinking about divide, about buying, spending your money, divide. So only thing that's going to happen is something's going to cross your screen that's going to re-trigger and excuse me, re-instigate, irrigate the situation you just walked away from. So you come away from that pissed. Doesn't help. I deal with anxiety and depression, right? We all deal with stress. Excuse me, Mom. We all deal with stress. But for me, living with anxiety and depression, right, is something that, first of all, I wasn't aware of it until I got into my 30s. That's something that contributed to my substance use, misuse, abuse, depending on which drug it was. But that's something that a lot of people avoid addressing. We fail to address our mental health, right? Because when we say mental health, for some, it means we're sick. No, not at all. Not at all. You can't live in this world and not have anxiety and or depression. It just won't happen. You would have to literally live in a bubble, and staying inside of that bubble after a while is going to stress you out. You're going to get depressed because you want to be outside of the bubble. Your anxiety is going to increase because you feel like this is all life is ever going to be. So anywho, right? There's situational, then there's clinical. So I deal with anxiety all the time. I take medication for anxiety and depression. Right? It works well for me. Going over bridges, just like used to lose my mind. Right? But anxiety is a mood disorder. It's not a thought disorder. And a lot of people have that twisted. A lot of people think that when you have anxiety, it's a thought disorder, and it's not. Right? It's a mood disorder. So that means there's sometimes when I could be sitting here right here doing absolutely nothing. All of a sudden, I'll get this surge in my chest. It's like a surge of discomfort. It's like uncomfortable, and it's irritating and it's frustrating. And sometimes you can have panic attacks if you don't get it under control, if you don't learn how to get it under control, right? But if you have anxiety, listen, let me tell you something. The first time I realized that there was something wrong was when I literally had been driving for years. Since I've been driving since I was 13. Uh, but like driving all the time at night and things like that. And then one late night, we were heading out somewhere, and I got onto the road, and I just literally started having a panic attack. Traffic coming around me was just like scaring the hell out of me, and I couldn't drive at night. I stopped driving at night for about a good year. Yeah, but what I did was I went to the doctor. Said, Yo, I need some medication for my anxiety, my depression. Well, at the time it was for my anxiety. I didn't realize that I had depression. I didn't never knew it. So when I started taking medication for the anxiety, that's when um, I started feeling a little more motivated, a little more energetic, and realized at that point that I had depression too. So it's important, for our mental health, that we also find things to get our creative juices flowing. Our creativity uh, on a regular basis is important for the stability of the house. You got to have it. You got to be able to sustain with or without, because things are going to always happen. It just does. And it can become very debilitating, and it really contributes to a lot of substance use, misuse, and abuse. Um, the opioid crisis, we know, has been happening well back, as far as you know. I know, like 40s and 50s, when the heroin thing was really, really deep. In 60s, I saw people, ODing, and I saw it back in the 60s and early 70s. Um, I had a good brother who I used to swing with. He used to always tell me, "Yo, man, just stay away from this stuff, man." He even told me he'd whoop my behind if he ever. I like, dude, I can't do that. I'm scared of needles, for one thing, in that capacity. Like, I don't want to inject something up in me and don't know what the outcome is going to be, because you can't get it back out. It's like what you flush your blood, and it's like you drink something or eat something that makes you sick. You can get it out of you. You can cut it down, drink milk, something. But I ain't. Oh, but yeah, just wasn't something I could get into. But it's at the end of the day, man. People are trying to escape from certain aspects of themselves, and some aspects you can't escape, man. You have to deal with them. You have to confront them. You have to learn how to manage them. So I'm glad that I made that decision, man, to you know I take medication for my anxiety, and then the depressive end of it as well. But a lot of people just don't know. You don't know that. I mean, I can go on and on and on. How I self medicated. But like I'm telling you, you don't have to self medicate in the capacity where you cause more harm to yourself. I'm not a big recommender of medication. That's the only medication that I take on a regular basis. My pressure level, was up, and I avoided that for years. But when you start hearing your heartbeat in your ear, that's not good, right? And that really was a result of the stressful marriage that I was in. Very stressful. That's a whole nother discussion we won't have today. But when you start hearing your heartbeat in your ear, in my left ear, I was hearing my heartbeat. I lay on the pillow. Sometimes certain pressures you'll feel your pulse, or you may even hear a beat. But I was hearing my in my ear, and I knew then that I needed to, yeah. So I don't take it that often, because my life is not the same at that level. And when I find myself at that level, where I'm really stressed, man, then I have to do something about it. You have to. You can't keep taking uh, uh, um, heart pressure medication and not doing something to lower your blood pressure. Right? You have to take a look at these things that are happening to you, aches and pains. They're happening for a reason. Is it age or is it a deeper problem? Is it a deeper problem? But I'm in tune with myself. I find little spots or bumps or something somewhere, and hey man, I got healthcare insurance, right? I go check it out. I go check. Why wait until it becomes something detrimental to your continued life? That doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of us who walk around with insurance in our pocket. I don't want to pay that $30 copay. But you just went to the fast food restaurant and spent $23 on a Happy Meal. I'm not talking about the kids' Happy Meal. I mean a meal that made you happy. Fries, a double burger, a shake, and this, that, the other. But you won't go spend that same 20 something dollars as a copay and see a doctor about something. You won't go to counseling because you don't want to pay the copay, or you don't want somebody to tell you what to do with your life. Well, look at what you're doing with your life. Look at what you're doing with your life already. And you okay with that. And you expect for your partner to be okay with that too. Honey, listen, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to beat myself up a little more. I'm going to let this trauma kind of like work on me for the next hour or so like that. So don't disturb me. Let me just go ahead and just sit in the bathroom and work through these things. I'll be back in a little bit. I'll keep my food in the microwave. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Beat the hell out of myself. That feels good. Yeah, it feels good. Back to the article. Work creativity into your daily schedule. Creativity, however, does take time. I suggest routinely scheduling time to break out of your routine. Now, I know that sounds like a contradiction, but hear me out. In order to be creative, we need to refresh our brains. You can do this by going for a walk, soaking in a bath, riding a bus or train, daydreaming, or meditating. You can also do this by finding a repetitive task that doesn't require any thinking. For example, I find mowing the lawn or blowing leaves to be such an activity. I can clear my thoughts and open my mind to whatever wants to pop into it. This works so well that it helps to keep a pad and pen handy so you can jot down emerging ideas. I do that, y'all. I got a digital voice recorder. I have pens in the car. I got a writing pad in the car. I got my phone. Whenever like certain things pop up in my head, I say, I can make a song with that. I'll put the first few lines in the phone or whatever it is that I have, right? And I'll come back to it later. Sometimes much later. And then sometimes I come back to it, be like, well, what was I thinking at that time? I don't really remember. And I put, but yeah, you got emerging ideas. And see, that's what happens when you start being creative. You want more of it. You want more and more and more of it, right? Blowing leaves. I don't know. I used to live in the crib up in uh up there. Uh and it was about a quarter acre, and it had these trees all over it. Now the people before then, they let the leaves build up underneath the tree, right? Where it just looked like after a while, just like a pile of stuff up under there. It's not good landscaping. So I spent an entire 2 days, no lie, blowing these leaves. I latched on to it, man, because I wanted the whole ground area clear so you can see the true beauty of this tree. And blowing leaves, man, it takes time and it takes skill because you can't just blow the leaves. You have to keep the leaves together, right? So that means you got to blow and you got to learn how to sweep this way and sweep that way so they all wind up this way. And it took me 2 days, man. I spent an entire day just blowing leaves, and I had my music attached to me. I was listening to the music, and it's just like you in a whole different world. So it's like not thinking is important too, because a lot of times I even drive. I'll turn the music off. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I just want to listen to me. Sometimes you gotta listen to you. Yeah, sometimes you gotta listen to you. Sometimes you gotta have a conversation with yourself. Right? Sometimes you gotta think things through. Sometimes you gotta restructure your original plans. It's not really work. Sometimes you gotta talk out certain situations that happen, and get a different perspective. Or you can get a different perspective from yourself about yourself. Yeah. But it's important, man. Like it says here, keep a pad and pen handy. You got your phone. This voice recorder is on your phone. Leave yourself a little voice recorder. Write it down. Text it to yourself. Right. So hey, I'm gonna try that. Yeah. Or take a picture of it. Right. There's so many things you can do, right, to enhance your creativity, just to keep on going with that creative habit. Back to the article. A creativity habit can influence all areas of your life. Once you've established a habit of creativity, you'll find yourself using it throughout your day in all or most of your activities: work, play, hobbies, cooking, cleaning, and raising children. Your daily practice will prepare you to recognize opportunities for fun and fortune. My habit of creativity has bled into other areas of my life, such as cooking. Well, I will modify a recipe or create my own from scratch. I've also found that I'm a better problem solver, and I discover little shortcuts and efficiencies that smooth out my day. A creativity habit can make you more productive. Your creativity habit may help you in your career by giving you money making ideas or enable you to become more productive. According to a study by Adobe, companies that encourage creativity are 3.5 times more likely to outperform their competitors in terms of revenue growth. The Harvard Business Review found that companies encouraging creativity were more likely to report a strong market position and competitiveness than their non creative counterparts. Spend your time breaking out of your routine and schedule some fun, creative activities. To sum it all up, clear your mind, find the silence, and allow your mind to expand and create. Try it. You have to understand that it's time to put into that. Are you worth it to you? Are you worth it to you? You can't continue to expect somebody in the crib to partner up with you to go have fun, because they got lives too. A lot of them are doing some creative things, line dancing, bowling. They part of a bowling league, right? And even that, after a while, you know, can become a little redundant. That's why you find something else. So ideally, you start the habit. Once you start the habit, you always want to do things. You always want to do things other than what it is that you're doing. That's how it's supposed to go. Does it always go that way? No, it doesn't. Ideally, you like to see it, you know, go that way, but be prepared for the fact that it just may not. Uh, I don't know. We at the hour. As always, you can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning, but you've chosen to join me for Daddy's Right Here Live. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the new viewers, all of those who have been, you know, around for all the years, and all those in between. I thank you. Daddy's Right Here Live. Yeah. That is right live. Y'all have a great one. Peace.
Living a sweet life, you don't need to take pride. Your mind is on that money, abandoning your child in the sweet life. Keep holding it down, you're never around.
This single is also from the album You Want to Be Me. Yeah. Tough guy. This is what a tough guy is. The guy who gets up 5 o'clock in the morning, gets himself dressed, have his coffee, his breakfast, what he's gonna have, kiss the family goodbye, go to work, put in them 8, come back home. That's a tough guy.
While my baby happens down, so the lie after lie, I wanna be
Tough guy.
Do you hear the cry?
While my baby have to die.
So the lie after lie after lie, I wanna be tough guy. I wanna be tough guy. Do you remember the very first call? Without hesitation, who did you call? Once you were free, who did you go to see? The ones you call your dog, the true enemy. You're robbing and killing, your brother's blood is spilling. Role model for your child, community building. Your safety holding you up, see in the way. But you have no place of your own, and in her bed she lay. Do you hear her cry? Why my baby have to die? So the lie after lie after lie, when he just got. Do you hear her cry? Why my baby have to die? So the lie after lie after lie, I wanna be tough guy. I wanna be tough guy. I wanna be tough guy. You're a repeat offender. You got a public defender. All you had is JK.
Mr. Money Man, pretender.
You're walking around the yard, still talking smack. But your homies from around the way,
They ain't watching your back.
You didn't know the rules when you got into this game. What you thought you would get
Was fortune and fame.
This fortune you got, a flag you claim. There's a bounty on your head, taking one to the brain. Do you hear the cry? Why my baby has to die? So the lie after lie after lie, all would be tough time. Do you hear the cry? Why my baby has to die?
I done already got started, man. I'm in it. Just loading up stuff to Spotify. I mean to Shopify. Make sure y'all check it out, man.
I wanna be tough guy. I wanna be tough guy. I wanna be tough guy. See, the moral of the story is you're just this walking all your glory. Pockets full, and nothing but quick. The numbers they'll give you, you won't have a name. And if you ever see freedom, Your brother walking with cane, is stabbed in the back, both one insane. But remember, one what you in this world, they both had your back. You did them both real dirty, and that ain't bad. One was your mother, the other your mother. One loses your son, the other finds another. Did you hear cry? Why my baby have to die? For the lie after lie after lie, I wanna be tough guy. Did you hear cry? Why my baby have to die? For the lie after lie after lie. Wanna be tough guy. 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 Do you hear cry? Do you hear cry?